Hi. So, welcome to the new setup. It's not the most elegant solution, but I need to get something off my chest before I kind of subside for the weekend, and that's really just about like the Smash Bros. Community as a whole. And I know this isn't something that a whole lot of people love talking about, and I'm sorry about that, but some things need to be said. Um, for those of you who are in the Smash community, this will be relevant to you, but those of you who stay away from it, it's probably for the best. So I'm not going to go too in depth to the details of what prompted this, but for those of you who have been paying attention and have seen what happened with the Luigi player Elegant recently, it has really brought a lot of complicated things to the surface. Quick rundown, Elegant was the best Luigi in the world, and he recently got banned for a recent exposure of alcohol abuse and sexual harassment, among other things, and it's good. It's really good. I'm pretty satisfied with the quick response to this. However, this is an exception, unfortunately. While bands like this are fantastic, if anyone remembers back to the summer, specifically the July of 2020, where the Smash community got so exposed for like just the most heinous stuff all at once. And that's really kind of what this is about. Because a lot of people are crying like, oh, why is this stuff like not being dealt with privately? Why is it like why is it being exposed on Twitter with Twitlongers when it should be like a private matter? And like, people are crying cancel culture, which is like the dumbest thing on the planet. Cancel culture is just the new wave friend zone. It's not really real. It's just a bunch of like sad dude bros who like want an excuse to complain about something. Cancel culture is consequences for your actions. You are never at risk of being canceled if you do not do anything sketchy. It's really it. You don't see me getting canceled for anything because I don't do anything to warrant it. You don't see, like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of just a random person that you never see it from. Here, let me just like open up my front page on YouTube. See like pops up. Lucagen, Critical. You know, you don't see these people getting canceled, and like or like Wang, Saberspark, people like that. You don't see it because they don't do anything. Like, I was gonna say Small Ant, but something sort of happened with him recently. So like, cancel culture's not real. Get over it. It's not real. It's like being friend zoned. People who complain that it's real have like a sense of entitlement that they like can't get over for some reason, because that's not real either. And if you think it is, then yikes. Point being is that the Smash community got to a point where it did in 2020 because we're a bunch of nerds that hate conflict. However, you cannot have a successful community ran the way it is and also have conflict avoidance. Every time something like this happens, I'm very vocal about it, about how the Smash community, even on a local level, needs to keep itself responsible. Like, we need to be less shy with bans, like, honestly, because at the end of the day, playing this game competitively is a privilege and not a right. If you abuse that right, if you go to events where children are there, minors, if you go there and harass people, if you sexually assault them, if you get too drunk to stand or even keep like your waist intact, then you need to be let go from the community. It temporarily, sure. I'm not saying everyone needs to be perma-banned for small infractions or like substance abuse, like unfortunately Elegant is dealing with. Like, I think there is a chance for redemption, but people, as it stands, are unsafe with people in the community like this. People feel unsafe. People do not want to attend because there are abusers around. There are predators. There are just heinous people that we are so enamored with their skill that we would rather them continue to abuse in the shadows than ban them because of some drama or cancel culture. We need to be holding ourselves way more accountable than we are, and it's very sickening. Like, we see people who constantly get outed as like sexually harassing people, being transphobic, being homophobic, being bigoted in any way, and it's like, why are we as a community so gun shy of getting rid of these people we do not want present in our community? Because there was like, I'm not going to say any names, but in my scene recently-ish, in the last couple of years, there was a scene where a player was we were trying to get him banned because he was saying a lot of bigoted nonsense that nobody wanted to deal with on his Twitter. And the response we got from some of our TOs was, well, it happened on Twitter. That's his private circle, he's allowed to talk about it. If it happened in an event, then we can do something. Which is the most, like, insane logic on the planet. If somebody comes to you and says that you heard on Facebook or Twitter the night before that they were threatening, like, your school the next day, you would call the police. They wouldn't be allowed to go to school. They'd be going to jail. Just because it did not happen at the location does not mean that it is irrelevant to that space. Like, I saw something for Elegant yesterday, I believe, that said something like, oh, this didn't happen at events, so it's fine. He shouldn't be held accountable or banned from Smash because he did it at an after party. And it's like, that yeah, here it is. So, did his drunkenness come into the Smash scene? Like, was he drunk on stream or around in the venue acting a fool? Or was this just like personal situations that were brought to light and people are just banning him for allegations? Just get your own hotel room if that was the case. You shouldn't allow someone to be in your events. Oh, wait, no, that's somewhat different. Ask, though, addiction sucks, and maybe that's what's been missing with his results. Messing with his results, not gonna lie. That response, like, while it is good-natured, is completely missing the point. And I replied to it, saying that if he goes to a tournament and harasses people he met at them afterwards, that's still a problem. Just because it may not have happened at an event, it is not cause to excuse this behavior. Because if abuser meets group from tournament and abuses them after the tournament, he still found these people because of the tournament. He would not have found them at the tournament, most likely. Or without the tournament, rather. Most likely. Because all my friends are from Smash. I would not have met them without it. So, like, you are giving these people platforms to find new victims, and just because it may not have happened at a venue doesn't excuse it, and does not mean it shouldn't be ban-worthy. And another good point is that we need to just completely ban alcohol from events. Like, I know I value sobriety more than most people on this planet, but it is inexcusable that we are still allowing the sale of alcohol, like the possession of alcohol at events, especially after 2020, and like the permission to sell like softcore porn and like other like hentai and stuff. It's like, children go to these things. In my scene, there's someone who's like under 10 that attends tournaments, and he is adorable and precious, and we try to protect him the best we can. But when there are people like that coming, and then there's another guy showing up with a literally hentai on his shirt, that's when we need to start looking inward and seeing what, because like dress codes are usually pretty nonsense. However, there should be a point that if you are wearing literal porn on your shirt and there are children around, then that you need to be taken aside. If there are people who are raging and breaking things and throwing setups and punching holes in walls, you need to be gone. Like, end of story. Like, indefinitely, depends on the infraction, of course. Permanently, most cases, I wouldn't say so. But if you're breaking property, if you're abusing people, if you are abusing substances, if you are like a literal sexual predator, why are you not banned? Granted, so many of these people have been banned, but it took way too long for that to happen. And that's why we had such a big blowout in July of 2020. And then people are like, oh, it's happening again, because it's like the whole elegant situation. And it's like, this is kind of the opposite of that. It was brought to light by multiple brave people who came forward, knowing that they were going to get a lot of shit for this, and still did it. And within, 3 days, he got banned from, I think, Vegas, Texas, and SoCal? Amazing response. This is, sure, he's been doing this shit for, 4 years, I think? I don't know, I don't remember how long it's been going on, maybe longer than that. Yeah, it had to be, because he was doing it in Smash 4 as well, so it's like, unfortunately, in order for this stuff to have come out, it had to have happened to begin with, and that sucks. We need to get better at helping people get through stuff. When we're seeing someone like him go through budding alcoholism and abuse of that substance and what it's doing to him, we need to figure out a way to help him, or help people like this beat that addiction before it starts. By barring access to that, by not letting it into our events where children are around. It seems so obvious, and yet people are so queasy when that 3-letter word comes up. We need to stop being so afraid of punishing consequences, because that's what it is. We are truly way too afraid as a community of being judged for our decisions of banning people than we are of maintaining a safe community. And in certain instances, I have seen players get banned for a year for sexual harassment and transphobia, and then they're back because they don't display signs of that repeated behavior. But it's like trying to prove a negative, because things like bigotry are so inherently ingrained in your head that you cannot change that within a year. I believe there was recently one case in my scene in particular where someone was unbanned for bigotry, and they actually showed marked improvement. They started fighting for LGBT rights. They started fighting for equality in the scene, and other scenes they were joined in at the time, and they were making serious efforts to undo the harm they did. And while I still don't like the person for other reasons, I can respect that. I can respect the unban because of that. But there are at least 3 people in my scene alone that I can name off the top of my head. I'm not going to, but I can, that got unbanned because they flew under the radar, or they didn't exhibit the same signs even though they did, or it's been long enough that they're just back. No problem. And it's like substance abuse, sure. Give it some time, some rehab, show some marked improvements that you have worked on it and are no longer struggling with it as much to the extent, and will not have access to that substance at events. Bigotry, make sure that you can prove that you have not only displayed the same bigotry, but also worked towards mending that fence and becoming an ally instead. Sexual abuse, I think that's a permanent ban, honestly. If you come to an event and you think it's okay to violate someone's body or make them feel uncomfortable just by existing, bye. We don't need you. We don't want you either. But if you're good at pressing the very fast buttons, then sure, why not? Let's keep you around. And there's another person I can name, a little bit more of a high-profile case, so I'm not going to say it, that has been caught multiple times of making bigoted comments, harassing people, and generally being just a bully. And because he's really good at the game, the one time he was threatened with a ban, he threatened to kill himself and blame the community for it. So his ban was lessened to like a week over it. And if you don't know anything about abusive relationships or warning signs for that type of thing, then that might just sound like generally messed up. But once you know what abusive relationships look like and stuff like that, then you know that the way we handled that was not correct, because he wasn't going to do that. But the fact that he threatened and we were like, oh, okay, we'll show our belly, says a lot. It really says a lot. And I know it's bold of me to claim that he wasn't going to do that, because I don't really know him that well and I don't want to. But I have known, unfortunately, too many people who will use that as a chip in order to get what they want. And he did. But all in all, the whole point of all of this was to say that we need to really reconsider our terms of service, I suppose, for lack of a better phrase. We need to really give a hard look at who our community leaders are and stop factoring in skill when it comes to banning someone, because that is completely irrelevant. We need character witnesses. We need people. We need like actual first-hand accounts of people who are there, and we need strong leadership like Haggett, because that guy, bless his heart, he has a lot on his hands, and every time he makes the correct decision. We need more people like him, and I would honestly not mind filling that position myself, but I know a lot of people don't like my hardline stances, so. But we need to really honestly look in at ourselves and figure out what kind of community we want to be. Do we want to be exclusive, where people who are trans or people who are LGBT do not feel safe, or people who are not white don't feel safe, or people who are any sort of minority just don't feel comfortable coming to our event? If you're not an adult, if you don't feel safe coming, if you are anything other than like the ones who've been on top and throughout all human history, and you don't feel safe, then we need to look at that. Or do we want to be inclusive, welcome everybody from kids to adults to LGBT to every race, to every ethnicity, to everything? Is that what we want to be? Because that's what I want to be a part of. I want to be a part of this huge all walks of life community that the Smash documentary tried to sell us. But instead, we are just a socially inept group of people abusing each other over and over and over again, but desperately wanting those people to come in, and then we ruin their lives. Like, we want more women to play the game because we want it to be inclusive to everybody, but when we always victimize them, when we abuse them, it's what's the incentive? When we treat them as so-and-so's girlfriend, when we say, oh, they're not going to be as good because they're a girl, when we just belittle them for existing or harass them or abuse them, that behavior's got to stop. Our scene will not survive it. And I know Smash is the most stubborn esport on the planet, and I have been wrong about stuff like this before, but we have got to stop, or we're going to implode. The game's already hurting real bad because of Steve and Kazuya. Like, people would rather quit than fight those characters, so why would people continue playing the game when they're also being harassed and abused on top of that? We are shooting ourselves in the foot and refusing to blame ourselves for it. it's all chalked up to cancel culture and like, well, it should have been handled privately. Well, guess what? We tried that. We tried privacy. We tried letting it just be settled in DMs, but it does not work until someone makes a stink on Twitter, because that's exactly how it works with big corporations like YouTube as well. And I mean, look at what's the guy's name? Corey Kenshin. That guy was exposing YouTube for racism recently. Look where it got him. He had to make a big stink about it on Twitter before it got any sort of traction. And he has so many subs too. I don't remember. He's like a huge YouTuber. I've never heard of him. What's he at? He's got 11.1 thousand subscribers, and I've never heard of him. We need to stop making it so that mob mentality is our only out. We need to be able to handle this professionally and with tact. And I know a lot of us are young, but I also know a lot of us are super smart, and a lot of us are in medical fields and like really mature fields like engineering and such. I know there is a group of people who has that like emotional intelligence and social intelligence to do it, and that's why the code of conduct disbanding was probably one of the worst things to happen to this scene. We need something like that, a panel of people that we can trust to make those decisions, but they also have to stay anonymous because they will get harassed for their decisions like they did last time. It's just really frustrating because I've put 7.5 years into this game competitively, and I am embarrassed to be a part of it. I am almost at like 4,000 hours in Ultimate. I want to be a really good player. I try every day on my streams over at twitch.tv/magma743. You'll see me streaming 3 days a week, trying to get better at this game. But I'm embarrassed to be a part of its community because we are known for nothing but toxicity, abuse, harassment, and pedophilia. And it's just disgusting, and it makes my skin crawl. And so many of my friends have rightfully quit the game after July of 2020 because of what they don't want to be a part of this. But I believe at its core, when the Smash community bands together and really wants to support a goal, we can do anything. We have the capacity to be that all walks of life type of community that Chillin' Dude talked about that Melee was. And we are so afraid of being that, and I don't know why. I don't. And it just breaks my heart because I see the seed of goodness in this community. I see it. Every time I go, there are always good people that you see here, and it's undercut by people like Zero, by people like Elegant, by people like Captain Zach, Salem, Samsora, Hyuga, there's just so many, Keitaro, D1, there's just so many people that just undermine it, and it's unfortunately too many to remember, and it's just really sad. I want to be proud that this is my hobby. I want to be proud that I want this to be my living, and I just can't until we get our shit together and learn what it's like in order to handle conflict correctly. But until that day comes, who knows what we're going to do to ourselves next. I'm sorry for a bit more of a heavy video. This is probably the first of many times I'll probably be tackling a subject like this, just because it's so near and dear to my heart. For videos of this heavy subject matter, there it will be a little banner in the thumbnail, so that will be new for you to see. Thank you guys so much for watching. I don't know what topic I'll be back with next time, but this is something I really needed to get off my chest because it's so near and dear, and with it being unfortunately relevant again, I think it was time to really talk about it. Yeah. Have a great weekend, everybody, and be better. And if you want to find more content from me, you can see me more on my unhinged rants here on Grumble Volcano, as well as I have a YouTube channel and Twitch. Both are at Magma743. And follow me on Twitter at that same handle. I also do have a Patreon, which is under the same. Links will be in the description below. But remember, we're all human. Embrace your heartbeat. Have a great night, everyone.